stitches. Hi sewing friends, Shawnice here, and this is part 3. And in this video, we're going to start sewing up the shirt, and hopefully it won't be a part 4. Hopefully we can get this done in just one sewing session. So let's get to the table. So I have all the pieces laid out, and when we look at the pattern, the first thing it wants us to do is to stay stitch and sew up the darts. And so that means stay stitching for the front, this front here of the neck opening to stay stitched, and then the back neck for the back piece, stay stitching all those. So I'm not going to do the lining, I'm just going to stay stitch the actual fashion fabric. So I have that, and then after that it is going to be sewing the tie and the belt loops, I believe. So we'll go ahead and get that started. So I'm trying to get myself together here. I don't need to take my pattern pieces. So here's where you want to stay stitch. And so if you're using thread, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you start on the outside and then sew to the middle and stop, and then start here and sew to the middle and stop. And you're going to do that in the seam allowance. But what I like to do is I like to use this this tape here, and I just put it right where the stitching line would go. And because it's biased, it just goes nicely around corners. Then I just take it to the other side and give it a good press. I think it's faster than sewing, but I also like it. I like it that you know, it's not, I don't have to sit at the machine and sewing something in that I really don't need. So now I'm going to go down the front. Should have enough because I kind of measured it out by sight. And for the other side, so just remember when you're using heat, if you're using a friction pen, or you know, with ink that disappears with heat, you want to be careful even where you place your garment. So this is hot right here. If I have a marking here, if I were to take this area and stick it down on the mat, I would lose my marking because the heat would make it go away. So that is the stay stitching. It's very, very fast when you're using this tape. Next, now I am going to go to, I need to let me turn this over so I don't get no heat, and I need to get my darts and set this up. Set my darts up for closure, and so those are on the front pieces. So here's the first one. I'm looking for my markings. I can barely see. There we go, that's better. So for my darts, I'm going to clip clip these edges here. My camera, I should be. I'm going to clip these edges here. Then I put those clips together. Then I go to the point and pin that close. Okay, that's one. All right, where is the marking? It goes right here and down to this one. So one, and here is two. Let's clip those dart legs. So now again, match up the notches. And then match up the dart point. If it doesn't lay down right, just open it up. And I'm going to mark, find it, find it, find it. Here we go. All right, that's two. So for the lining, I need to make sure, all right, this is the, here we go. So this is the inside, so I can see my markings. Definitely can see it on the ping. Oh, I just messed up that line. Go and clip that. I can clip it down here too while I'm here. Sometimes I gotta lay this down and I find that clipping. Where is it at? There it goes. So whatever you do, do not fret over when you're just these dart legs matching like to the end power, because it's just unneeded stress. I wish someone had told me that, because I tell you, I could spend like 20 minutes trying to get these darts to line up, when at the end of the day, it's not that serious. All right. So I'm actually going to use blue thread to sew up my darts too. So now I have all the front pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then sewing up the belt loop and the straps. So all this goes over to the table. All right. So when I do my darts, I like to start at the point. So I take my needle, drop down right next to the point, and that first stitch is halfway on the point, and then halfway on the off it. Halfway on the fabric and half off. Right, let me check that. That looked like it went kind of wonky. Yeah, it did. I want to do that again. There it goes. Just a little section that I kind of dipped in there on the inside, and I needed to bring that out. So that's one. Next dart. Forgot to tie the ends off. I saw this technique where you don't have to tie the ends, but what it requires is the thread is sewing from the bobbin. I saw it and it looked like, you know, I said, oh, I see how that works, but I can't repeat it. But that means you gotta work with the bobbin, you're pulling the bobbin out, and I'm like, oh, that's a lot of work. Maybe if I was sewing something for a client, I wouldn't mind doing the extra work. But for me, I'm like, ooh, this work. All right, let's do this dart with the blue thread. Amen. We are. So what I did just there is that I just turned the fabric around. So instead of back stitching, because I find that when it comes to, you know, working with this type of, you know, thin fabric, is that it doesn't do well with back stitching or reverse stitching. So I just turn it around, go that way. Seems to work out fine. Take that out. Because I don't know why. Just the fabric will just go down into the machine and it's giving everybody headaches. Thought I had it. So we're going to take this. I'm just going to sew right sides together. Back stitch. And I am giving this a, what is this? 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. I don't know what the pattern said. one strap, and this is the other. So I give it a little angle here at the end. I think this should be enough. Let me stick. Can I get this in there? Or do I have to go smaller? Yeah, I'm gonna go smaller. Now when you go smaller, you can't actually flip the fabric inside the tube. But you can, it's a good place to get it to start off. Look at all this. Fraying and no delaying. Where's the metal bar? Here we go. So what I mean by, oh, I'm checking the edge. I got a little opening here. There we go. So this right here is just to get it started. So I'm going to bring the fabric up around the bar here. There we go. And so we don't need the plastic piece anymore because we're just going to slowly bring this down on to the rod. Try not to poke a hole. Let's get some of this. See, when I get too much, that's when I run into problems. So I need to get most of it down the rod. I think that should be enough. And then, nope. Oh, see if I can get it all up here. Look at this. Do you see how this is fraying? Come on. Come on. There we go. Nope, not yet. Here we go. So now I could grab a hold of the end, and I could take that, and then now slide everything down. I just hope this fraying isn't going into my actual strap. See, I should have been done with this already. And this is kind of like why I stress with, you know, doing a class, a live class, because I run into crazy issues like this because I'm trying to move at a steady pace, and you know, I don't have a production team that's going to be able to edit all my videos, so I gotta do it myself. Okay, oh my gosh, that one's done. Oh my gosh, look at this. Oh. All right, here's the next one. Look, let's I'm gonna avoid issues. I'm gonna trim the seam allowance. Amen. We can't do that again. I don't want to do that again. Here we go. So I'm just going to push it all the way down in. I'm not going to work. I'm trying to avoid having the fabric bunch up in one area. Oh, here we go. See how it's getting ready to bunch up. Oh, no, 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 no. No, 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 no. We're not doing that. Slide it down. Here we go. Just taking my time. Sliding. So let me get the skinny piece out of here. Ooh, I think I just ripped through it. No. The tube is coming down. I need to get the small tube out. Let's go this way. Come on. All right, I got the tube out. Now we're gonna slide this down. I hope I didn't bust through the end. All right, awesome. Okay, so now I am at the end. Now, slowly work from this end to the other to pull it out. And I'm gonna clip this. See where I'm getting stuck right here? All right. A little bit more. There. A little bit more. Not yet. All right, let me clip. Got a little roadblock right here. I'll just open this up. See how I keep doing the same thing? Thinking it's going to behave differently. It's like I'm trying to, there we go. Here we go. Oh, there we go. Woo! Oh my gosh. Okay. So I lost the piece, so I made another one. So I made it extra long so that whenever I turn it, just in case I get a little wonky, because I can get a little wonky on this. So I'm going to put it underneath there here. I'm going to try to sew a tiny tube. Okay, back stitch. And this is going to get real skinny. Keep going. And I'm going to close it up at the end here. There we go. Where am I at? Am I in the picture? Let's go back. 6. Okay. So now I will trim off the end. Let's put the tube turner in there all the way to the end. I'm going to go ahead, push this through. So let me thin it out. Thin it out. All right. Oh, come on. There we go. Slide down. All right. So I guess that's going to be for it's the belt loop. So I don't need this hard end on it. This hard end, so I can cut that off. So now I'm going to press it and get it all ready. Clean up while I go. All right, I will. Look at, this is like a blue tornado over here. So now I'm going to take the straps and I'm going to give them a good press. My goal is to get the seam on the same side, no twisting around allowed. So we'll see if it happens. And I'm going to take off my sweater because it is getting caught on everything. Get some of that. I'm going to set that, make it nice and flat. There you have a flat strap. Flat, not flat. I don't think there's anything wrong with a tube, with a tie that's shaped in a tube. That's what I'm trying to say. I should not have spent that much time on this tie. That should have been like a 10-minute thing, but it happens. It happens. Okay. Tie is straight. Now let's get the button loops. Nice press. Did I press play? Oh, I did. There we go. Now I will get to the darts, making sure I'm looking for my circles because I don't want to take them out. I'm going to press, so I got my, where's my dots? I'm going to put a pin just in case. Put a pin just in case. Press. I'm going to turn it over. Give it a nice little press. So that's one. This is the next one. I'm going to put a pin in that dot for the sleeve. Let's go ahead and get this one done. And what I did is I sewed the dart in a different way just to show you that there is not just one way that a dart has to be pressed, or anything that has to be pressed. See, I'm holding it up because I want to get that curve. I know it sounds intuitive. It's like, wait a minute, you pulled it up, you pulled it one way to get it to go another way. So now it's the darts in the lining. All right. I want to make sure that the dart that's one, and then here's the other. Gotta get the dart to the other side. That's the way I want it to go. There. Woo. All right. Look at this. So I'm going to pause this because I need to clean up this frayed fabric because it's going to drive me bonkers. Okay, what is next? So now we're going to take the back piece for the outside fabric, and my piece is somewhat wrinkled, so I'm going to give it a nice little iron. So I'm going to lay it down flat, and then on the bottom, there are two dots right here at the bottom. So this is the right side facing up. I'm going to take my strap, the closed end, and I'm going to put it, so here is where the circle is, or the knot. So I'll just go ahead and put a pin in there like that. And then my strap, I'm going to put strap with the seam down, and I'm just going to place it right on that dot, and then I'm going to pin it. And I'm going to pin it over and out of the way so that this is not in my way when I go to sew it. So now I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. I have my dot, so I'm going to put a pin in there, and then I take the opening part of the strap, put it on there, and then pin. And I'm going to pin it away from me. Pin it away. So now I have the two ties. So now I'm going to, within the seam allowance, just going to tack the edges of the strap in. So now I'm going to tack the strap within onto the back, but within a seam allowance. So you want to make sure that you know where your seam line is going to be, because you want to tack this inside that seam allowance. And then after, well, we'll go ahead and do that now. So what you can do is you can find your 5/8 of an inch on the sewing machine, and then you can just take this and just slide it back. So I'm actually matching up the side of my fabric with the side of my presser foot, and then I'm going to sew over it and back stitch it. Now I'm going to grab the other side and do the same thing. So now I take the front pieces, right sides facing, and those get laid on here. And I'm going to take the pins and I'm going to pin my side seam together. So this is why I keep the strap pinned to the inside, so that it doesn't fly up and get caught. You don't want to get your tie caught up in your seams. So I am pinning the shoulders and the side seams, matching up the notches. I'm just matching up the other shoulder seam, matching my notches. Dropping my pins, these acrylics. So I'm sewing from the bottom up on this side, 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Lock your stitches. Taking my pin out so that I can rearrange my side seam and get it lined up. I'm not cutting my thread because it saves on thread to not have to cut it, because if it's attached, then you won't unthread your needle by keeping it attached, and I can use a shorter thread tail. other shoulder. Then the side seam. And now, so that I don't forget, I clip all of the thread tails. So shoulder, one shoulder. All right, I got the side on that one, and then I got to do the top. Boom, boom. And that should be everything. Is that everything? Oh, darts. And now I'm going to go and press this open, but before I do that, I'm going to get the lining and do the same thing. So there's that side, and here is this side. So I'm going to actually go around. So I'm going to start on one corner and go around so as to not mess this up over here. And then sew it on backwards. Ask me how I know. I've done it before. Okay. We got our blue thread up in here. Get this lined up. Shoulder time. And the other side. Next shoulder. If I can get the seams matched and under there. And then the last side. There we go. Now cutting the strings, not strings, thread tails, right? Thread tails. Ooh. I can take these pins out. And I can This pin jumped right back on. I think it wanted to stay here for a party. So now we'll turn this. Look at that. Head over to the table. Okay. So I have the lining first. So I'm going to set the stitches. With some heat. Shoulders, setting this. The seam allowance. I'm going to press these flat. It's the lining, so I'm just willy-nilly. It's on the inside. Well, I'll probably do the same for the outside too. Press. And last side seam. I'm going to go on the inside. I'm going to press my seams open. I'm not going to do any serging on the lining. Let's see if I can get away with not doing any serging. How about that? Now I'm doing the shoulders. So I do the shoulders on the hem because your shoulders are kind of curved. But you can press them flat. I don't think it really matters. Okay. Now for the shell, first I'm going to press everything flat. So there's 4 seams, so that's 1. There's 2. What's the other one? The shoulders. There's 3. And there's 4. Now I want to make sure I keep my dots. I'm going to go ahead and, because I'm working with the heat now, and I might not be able to keep track of where my dots are. Yep, this one almost went away. So I got pins in the front. Let me put pins in the back so I don't forget. Where is it? There's one. Where's the other one? Because these things will disappear on you. So now I'm going to press my seams open. So here's the one on the shoulder. Alright, that's one. Okay. I'm going to let that sit while I get ready for the next step. Okay. So now I'm bringing back the lining and a seam gauge because we need to press this bottom up. I'll press it under 5/8 of an inch. Why? All right, I know why. Okay, 5/8 of an inch, 3/4, 4/8, 5/8. So here I have, I'm going to draw in my dots because they're probably going to go away with the steam. So I'm going to turn this under 5/8 and just press. Ah. So if I kind of shift this over, then I can like leave that tip sit there, and I can come on over. Come on in the room. Here we go. Let's go 5/8. Five-eighths all the way around. Let's get this 5/8. Feel like I'm going over a little bit. So before we put the lining on, we need to put the button loops on. So this is the right front, and in here I have 2 markings. So I had to get my pattern because there is a marking that I forgot to put. So here's 16 right here, and then 16 is right here. I'm going to check my markings. Oh, I broke my chalk. Okay, and then up here, so I'm going to take the piece. So you're going to create a U. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to bring the edges together. So here we're just going to make like a letter N. We're going to bring this around and have them touch, and then take that, and I'm going to put it right along. So I need my buttons. That's what you need, the buttons. So you only need enough room so that your button goes through the button loop. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to put my button in there. Woohoo! So then I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put a pin right there where that button is. I'm going to do the other one the same way, bringing them together and putting a pin where the button opening is. Let me make sure those are even. Yep. So those are even. So now I'm going to take, so that where that pin is, that's where I want to place it. So I'm just going to take these over to the machine and we're going to tack those on. Okay. Set my buttons aside here. I'm going to put my blouse up here. So I'm going to go to the first dots and I'm going to take, so I'm going to lay where my pin is. I'm going to lay my pin right on that dot, and then I'm going to take these pieces here. If you can see, I'm going to spread them open and I'm going to turn them towards each other so that they lay flat, just like that. See, like that. And then I'm going to lay my pin where I have my pin at. I'm going to lay it right there, and I'm going to have those two pieces, I want them together, sticking together, and then I'm going to tack them. That's one, and then the other one is at the bottom here. Open it up, make them lie flat. I'm going to put it right on there. Poof, poof, poof. If you need extra pins to hold things down, pins are your friends. Pins are our friends. There we go. Back stitch. Like that. So it might have looked confusing and feel confusing, but it all works out. So now I'm just trimming all my thread tails. Trim the other side. So now I'm going to take my top, open it up face down, right side's facing up, I mean. And then now I have my lining. Lining, right side facing down. So I'm going to start up here at the notches that are here up on the neck. I'm going to pin those 1 and 2. I'm going to pin this shoulder together, making sure that I go through the seam on both sides. Now I'm going to travel around the front, so I'm going to go ahead and put a pin right here. I'm going to go just following the front down. So here we are at a corner. So I'll pin that side down. Now we're at the bottom, so we're going to open up the seam allowance on the lining and then match up your corner, but you're not going to sew that seam allowance down. So this seam allowance is going to be sewn. This is where you're going to stop stitching right at that. There might be a circle there. I probably ironed it out. So leaving the bottom open, going to the other side. now I'm at the shoulder seam, making sure I'm going through this actual seam. So now we're going, so now I'm going down the front, put a pin here. So now here's the button loops. Those go on the inside. So here's where my pivot. I'll pin that here. Then down here, I'm going to open up my seam. So I'm going to pin there, and let me just going to pin it on the other side of this here. I'm looking at this. I think should I bring that down? Let me look when this gets closed. I'm going to bring this down. I don't like it up like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this up here with this on here, and I want to look at kind of where I want my button to come out. And I think I want the button to come out like about right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick a pin in there. I mean, the instructions probably have where to put the buttons, but I didn't read it. So that's where I want. Oh, it was almost in that spot. But I want to make sure that you have 5/8 of an inch here and here. So now I could take this, match up the ends, and I'm going to put it just a smidgen down, just a smidgen further than where I had it before, because I'm going to pivot right at that, where I have that blue mark. I'm going to pivot right there. So now I'm going to hold these down. Now I can take my pin out. There we go. And cut all my thread tail. Awesome. Now I can comfortably pin my corner together here, and we're going to put a pin, and then I'm going to stitch all the way around. So I'm going to start in the middle, at the back, 5/8 of an inch. I'm going to drop this puppy. And I'm going to make sure my ends stay together. And slowly stitch. Here we go. All the way around. Only focusing on what is in front of me. So here's where we're going to, so I want to make this a clean turn, and I don't want things moving. So you can either baste it with your hand, or I'm just going to use a lot of pins, and I'm going to keep coming down here until I get to this dot with a circle there. Now I'm going to pin it. I mean pivot, not pin. Take these out. Put my needle down so I can get the pins out. Here we go, all the way down. We're stopping. Right there. Do not sew that seam allowance down. So now this can get cut. Let's take a peek. Ooh, look at that. Now I'm going to do the other side, even though I have my pins in wrong. It's okay. Okay. And look what I did. I unthreaded my machine. You see, we're still alive. Oh. Let's get this. Go. Taking pins out. So now I'm going to stick my hands up in there so I can pull the lining back. While this goes under. So now we're getting to the shoulder seam, lifting stuff up. Because we want things to go underneath there nice and smooth. You don't want no problems. There we go. There we go. Going to the, I don't have a dot here, but I know with 5/8, so when I turn it, I get the 5/8. Both good. So I'm gonna, I can sew all the way down, but I want to make sure that I stop where this pin is. There it goes, right there. Here we go. Is that stitch in there good? Yep, it is. So we're going to keep everything closed. Let me get thread tails. So now we got to layer the seam. So I'm going to start on this edge where the button loops are, and I'm going to open up the seam, and I'm going to cut the, I'm going to trim the button loops. So expose it and trim it. Now we want to layer the seam. So which means I'm going to expose the fabric, making sure none's underneath there, and I'm just going to cut this in half. See, all the way across, just like that. And then now our seam is layered. And the same thing around here. I'm just going to cut this in half. I want to make sure there's nothing under here that can get cut that shouldn't be cut. just trim the seams that we were sewn. Now we're going to understitch. So now we're going to take the fabric and we're going to, you're not going to take all the way right side out, but what we're going to do is you're going to expose the inside of your garment, and you stitch. So this is understitching, where we are stitching the seam allowance here to the lining here. So you want to make sure that when you stitch through here, you're going through the lining and you're going to go through the seam allowance. So we just trim this in half. So we're going to stitch right along there so that we get it. If you want to, you can actually just sew. You can sew on this end too if you're more comfortable. But I'm going to stitch along here. And if there's an area that you can't get, it's okay. You can just stop stitching, lock it, and then go back to an area where you can. So I'm going to actually use pink thread, since this stitch will be seen, well, not from other people, but I'll see it, and I don't want to see a blue line going across my front, so I'm going to change the thread. Come on, get in there. Let's stitch it, cut it one more time. And there we go. So I'm starting from the bottom. Actually, I'm going to change my presser foot too, because I want to use a straight stitch presser foot. This is how I misplaced my other presser foot, because I took it off and it fell somewhere. So now I'm going to line up the inside of the slit with the seam, and that's going to tell me where I want to stitch. So I'm going to make sure that everything is out the way. Keep everything flat. Sometimes you gotta get in there and have a peek. Check underneath there, make sure everything is cleared. Checking back here. I gotta focus on keeping this straight, because pulling on this will give you a wavy stitch. It won't impact the shirt, you'll just see a wavy stitch. So I want to keep this nice and straight. There we go. And I can hear that my needle probably going to change the needle soon. You hear it when you hear it going pop, pop, pop. All right, here we go. Carefully. All right, I'm going to stop right here before I get to these belt loops, because I don't think I could get a clean turn. Oh, ooh, I got a little cut in my, oh, look at that, little cut. Oh, Lord, I could fix it. I could fix it. So let me sew. I'm just going to take this the other way. Let me get this. Let me trim this corner here. I knew these scissors were so sharp. Me. All right. I'm going to get this under here. So now I'm going to start close on the button as I can get. I'm going to stitch right down the button. Right to where there you go. You don't want to sew all the way to the end, just to where that seam allowance ends. And I don't know if you see my other video where I'm like, every project I accidentally cut a hole somewhere, and here we go, right here. So when that is folded, it's going to be seam. So I'm just going to go and fix that right now. It's over here by the button. So I'm going to put this inside out. So I'm going to find the hole. Okay. Turn it this way. So the hole is right here. So I'm going to take some fabric. And I'm going to take my stitch witchery. Got some thread here. So I'm going to put, where's the hole at? Where is the hole? Here's the hole. Put a pin where the hole is, right here. So I'm going to put the stitch witchery there, cover up the hole. And then I'm going to take the fabric, I'm going to lay it on there. I'll take my iron and melt said stitch witchery. Now I'm going to go to the other end, and there we have it. Now I can give this a good press. And then if I have to, I should not have, if I have to, I will get some, what's the thing called? Let me turn these the wrong way. These are turned the wrong way. Oh, and they're uneven. Look at that. Uneven buttonholes. Let's make sure the button can go through there. Yeah, that one's kind of big. Let me check this one. This one is perfect, but this one is kind of big here. So now after fixing my hole, I am turning the lining underneath. I'm turning it under. Or you can go from the top. You can go from the bottom and turn everything up. And you want to have it just so that you can see the outside fabric just peeking out. You're going to take that all the way around. All the way around. Because you can feel how it wants to lay. So the understitching keeps the lining from popping out. Here we go. I'm going to take this around, all the way around, making sure everything lies flat. Now we're going to the other side. And then I have to put the buttons on here. Okay, so now we're moving on to the skirt. So I have the skirt front here, and I don't know if you remember, but I cut like a little notch in the front to show me where the center is. So here's going to be the center right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let me hold it up so you can see it. I'm going to stitch 1 inch on the here and here to, no, you know what, no. So here's the skirt front, so I'm going to turn it wrong side facing up. And then your instructions want you to reinforce this corner right here. So what you'll do is in the seam allowance, you'll sew 1 inch to the left and to the right. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my ribbon here. So I'm going to go ahead and press this to the left and to the right. So this is going to reinforce. Ooh, hot. Reinforce that, because, and then you're going to have to cut into it. And so, yeah, so I'll go ahead, so I did reinforce it, but I'll go ahead and reinforce it with stitches so that you can see what I'm talking about. Here, and I got the skirt back. I'm going to get the top of it. Is it the skirt back? Yes, yes, yes. And then sew the sides together, matching the notch. So here's a notch here on the side, and match it, the top, match that. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. First, matching the notches. Matching the notch. And then I'm going to match up the top of this corner seam right there. So I'm going to go ahead, let me go down a little bit and pin. So if you remember when I was cutting out this pattern, I was doing kind of a wonky job because I didn't want to cut my whole pattern out, and so I had to kind of guesstimate where the end was. Well, this is where we find out. So now I'm going to sew down the sides, and I'm going to reinforce this corner right here. Okay, now first I'm going to reinforce this front. So let me find it. So I'm going to start about 1 inch away within the seam allowance. Get to that corner. I'm going to turn and come down. So that'll come in handy. See that? So now I'm going to do the sides. 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. So I'm just a little bit off here at the bottom. We can fix that. All right. Now we're at the other side, starting from the top. Usually I start from the bottom, but since I knew that my bottom seam wasn't trustworthy because of my cutting, I'm starting at the top. Get this together. 6%. All right, and that is going to be the end of this video. On the next video, we're going to go ahead and get this gathered and hemming and attach it to the top, and we should be done. And so yeah, that is going to be 4 parts. So I hope your shirt is coming along well. If you do sew your shirt and post it onto social media, please tag me or let me know that it's there, right? Happy sewing. Loves.